Good morning. Hashtag BioSolNation. Dan Aberhart here with Aberhart Egg Solutions. And today we got an amazing show for you. We've got a few updates in the BioSol Nation, but most exciting of all is the real people that are involved with BioSol. And today with me is a couple special guests. We have Ryan Goodwin from Core Ag. Good morning, Ryan.
Good morning, Dan.
And we have Nolan. I don't remember your initial, but I've seen your initial. It seems like an important thing. Nolan R. Elfert, is that true?
That is true, Dan.
Your middle name is Ricardo.
Sure. We'll go with that from now on.
Elfert, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Dan. I very much appreciate it.
And he's in the parking lot of Safeway, ready to go get some of his world famous brisket going. Perfect. And Graham McMurtry, who's upholding the excellent standards of fashion at Aberhart Egg this morning, as always. Probably the best dressed guy in Aberhart Egg Solutions. I always look at Graham and think, man, I got to up my fashion game. These guys, man, they're represent.
Collared shirts are crazy. I know.
Collared shirts, it's intense. So I got some really good stuff for you guys. I just want to do a little bit of an update on the whole BioSol thing, and then we're going to chat with Ryan and Nolan about how they've been working to bring BioSol to the market, and the good, the bad, the ugly, and really attempt to learn from there. So I'm going to share a little bit of a PowerPoint here. Let me get this. Be patient with me. One moment, please. Standing by. Okay, here we go. Can you guys see my screen okay?
Yep. Yes.
Excellent. So I just want to run through a few quick things here. If you have any questions, I believe there's a question function in the webinar. People already been messaging me. Message me anytime, but you can also message me at my contact here on my Apple iPhone. Works really good too. We're going to talk about some stuff here in the BioSol Nation. First thing we always want to touch on here is safety. And I guess I'm putting you on the spot, but technically I called you, Ryan, last night to give you a heads up, think of a cool safety story, but you didn't take my call. But core value here, safety. Do you have a cool safety story to share for the BioSol Nation, or just tell us a little bit about how you guys implement safety in your spreading business?
Yeah, some heads up would have been nice on that.
I can take over for a second, Ryan, while you think, because I know it takes you a minute. So
Jump in.
I think the big thing the last year and a half for me, as I've been thinking about the safety side, has been I want to make sure that all my staff, including myself and friends, go home safe to their family every night, and so that plays a big part in what we do and how we do it. And I've really started to pay attention, just even the small things, where, if you're making something, keep the edges, we were working on a trailer and doing some welding, and we, instead of keeping a sharp edge, you smooth it off so that way nobody's liable to get cut or get hurt at work. I would never want to have to phone any of my staff members, significant others, or families to inform them that something bad had happened. And that's been a really big driving factor for me in the last year and a half, as far as the safety side.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, it's not always the most fun, sexy, exciting thing to talk about. But at the end of the day, I'm glad that you gave the why. We don't want anybody in the network to get hurt doing what we do, and it's certainly dangerous. It's with a heavy heart that I'm announcing today. Lloyd's last day at Aberhart Egg Solutions is today. And Lloyd was our first full-time employee. He did a tremendous amount of work to help us build a network. He's been an incredibly upstanding, respectable force in our company. And I really appreciate everything that he's done. And I know there's a lot of people in that network that he helped to build their business. So we wish Lloyd nothing but the best. We appreciate everything that he's ever done for Aberhart Egg, and it's certainly a big loss to us in the network that Lloyd has decided to move on. I guess moving forward, I will be handling the duties of account manager in that territory, and I'll be working with Graham and Bob and Allison and the whole team, all our resources to make sure that everybody has what they need to build their business and move forward. So as far as if Lloyd's your account manager, please contact me if you have anything questions or concerns. And I've been in the process of contacting everybody regarding that change and how we're going to move forward together. So thanks, Lloyd, for everything that you brought to the company. But yeah, that's that. So another announcement here is, we know in the Biosol Nation we've had some objections in the community about Club Root in our Biosol, and really the connection is Club Root can be carried by cauliflower and broccoli. So some people have made, the sort of tinfoil hat connection of, cauliflower and broccoli going into grocery waste, going into Biosol equals we're spreading Club Root. So I thought that was really interesting. But one of the ways that we're combating it, I met Dan Orchard at the Farm Forum, and we had a great discussion. I thought, well, why don't we have Dan on to talk about Club Root? And it's been in every Western Cities episode for a while now, and there's a lot of talk about it. But Dean and Doug Erickson did a great job of having a Club Root person literally come to their producer meeting and share information on Club Root. That's one way of getting ahead of it. We're trying to do the same thing at our level. So there's going to be emails. You should have those emails now. You should be able to share those links with your customers. And in the future, there's going to be a recording, of course. So in the future, if you guys get objections about Club Root, hopefully this will be one of the tools to you guys that we're trying to educate people. We're being proactive. Compost kills Club Root in 1 day at a certain moisture level at 60 degrees temperature. End of story. We test the product at the pad. We test the soil at the pad. We remove excess soil on trucks. We bleach trucks. Our trusted applicators are taking steps to mitigate this issue and this objection with customers. And this is a big deal for us, guys. We have lost business because of this Club Root perception. So we are trying to combat that. We need your guys' support by distributing this to your customers. Do you guys, Ryan and Nolan, do you guys have any comments on the Club Root thing, and if you've been seeing any issues here and ways to address the objection?
Yeah, no, I think you're bang on to get ahead of it. Like, before I ever heard objection from a customer or anything, I think the first thing I heard was a call from you last fall, or I can't remember when it was, basically saying that we've identified this as a major concern, and we're going kind of taking things pretty far in terms of, like you said, pretty drastically testing the pad product, testing, a lot of testing around the pad, and bleaching trucks as they come in and making sure they come in clean. They're not dragging dirt around and stuff like that. So and I think that's exactly the appropriate response, is you got to get out ahead of it and ensure that we prevent it rather than identify it as a problem and then try to deal with it after. So,
I
think you've taken a good approach. And
have you been running into that in your business? Have you been running into customers that have this issue?
I wouldn't say we've had customers bring it up. I think that, like, I was thinking about it before, but I wouldn't say I've had customers bring it up. But I think they will be if they haven't yet, and it's a legitimate concern that a guy could have, and need to be prepared for it. So, but I wouldn't say I've run into it much from customers. I haven't heard the objection much. So.
Okay. Something that's going to be coming up that I thought I would mention is we are going to be starting a Google group chat for the trusted applications, similar to Earth, Wind, and Fire, or what they call them, Earth, Dirt, and Soil. I seen Elston and Jill the other day, and I was kind of calling them Earth, Wind, and Fire. I think Jill liked it because she kept saying Earth, Wind, Fire after that. But Graham's been working on this. It's going to be very, very simple, easy technology to use. You guys are on the Earth, Wind, Fire chat. Very basic. You just send out an email. It goes to the whole network. somebody replies, it goes to the whole network. Another person replies, it goes to the whole network, and we're talking. And we want this to be an area where you can talk about pan testing, calibration, what equipment to buy, how, you know, biosol quality, biosol spreading, agronomy. We want to get Elson on there. And it is going to be for dealers and dealers alone. It's going to be a very tight group. We want it to be a place that people will feel safe expressing all kinds of things, and that's why we're not going to invite Nolan. Just kidding, Nolan. He's going to be. We'll
Thanks,
let
Dan.
you.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. So I think it's going to be really good, and I'd like to see it. I'd like to see it flourish. It's going to take some interaction on the part of the network, but I also think it's going to be just super functional at times if there's things up with logistics or things going on that are really timely. Graham's going to be able to communicate with everybody on that, with things that might come up, you know, surrounding the pad or delivery or product issues or whatever might come up. But looking forward to that. Does anybody need any signs for this spring? If you guys need some signs, let me know. I was in discussion with some dealers yesterday. Sound like they needed some signs. We will get you some signs, period. I think it's a great idea. We want to see biosol signs all over. Ryan and Nolan, how are you guys doing for signs?
We got a few still.
Oh,
You got a few still
Yeah.
in fields or in the shop or?
Both.
Perfect. No, that's good. We want you guys to have signs and put those signs up. Let us know if you need any signs. Also, there was some talk of getting, you know, a dealer was going to get some hats done and do some co-branding. We're very much for this. I know Ryan and Nolan, we've done some of this in the past. We should do more of it. I've got an awesome guy for anybody who needs this done. All you need to do is contact myself or Graham or Bob and say, hey, can I get some hats made? We'll refer you to our guy who will make it all happen, make it all easy, and we'll work with you guys on billing and stuff like that. Very easy to do. So let's get together and promote that. Rock Boss, like I was going to sing a little ditty here. Get it on your fields, Rock Boss, Rock Boss. But you know, don't really know. Like, so I know that everybody in the network has received a communication from Fertaz. God bless them. We don't have any professional affiliation with them at this time, and there was some confusion about who, you know, if we were working with them or not. And just to be really clear, we aren't working with them at this time, and we aren't endorsing this product or methodology as Eberhard Ag at this time. That being said, GFL is looking at a bunch of different things, and when and such time that we're going to be bringing anything else to the market via GFL or any other supplier, I am going to be super clear in the future about that. And I know at the summit we were testing the water on some new products, and you know, to be frank, it probably led to a little bit of confusion and questions. For Eberhard Ag Solutions, I can assure you, we're 100% focused and back to business on biosol after trying out a few new things right now. So just wanted to make clear that we don't have any affiliation with these people. We aren't doing anything other than biosol right now, and when we are, we will let you know. Now, pricing as usual, just to touch on that, in April it's $295 in Saskatchewan, $315 in Western Manitoba, $325 in Eastern Manitoba, and then of course we're going to $300 in May, $320 in May in Western Manitoba, and $330 in Eastern Manitoba. And we will be doing, as far as I know to date, we will be doing pretty much as we always did, according to the scrolls since the beginning of time in Eberhard Ag. We will be publishing our prices for the fall with a June early order going into the season, and I don't anticipate any major changes in terms of pricing or pricing protocol. Ryan and Nolan, you guys are handling all kinds of products in the retail space now. How is this working for you? Do you have any suggestions, comments, feedbacks on our pricing?
I personally really like the product is priced this way, it does make it easier. In the fertilizer world today, I would say it's a commodity, very volatile, and some companies will try to get as much as they can when they can from producers. This is a very clear pricing model. It's on the website for everybody to see, and there's no confusion in the market, right? Which I do really like. Makes it very, very easy and simple.
Perfect. We'll just keep on keeping on. Ryan, did you have anything to add to that, or does Nolan speak collectively for the group?
No, absolutely. He does not speak collectively. Let's make that clear.
Burn! Wow, this is as much of the democracy as I was thinking. Like, oh, this is juicy.
Yeah. No, but in this rare circumstance, I agree with Nolan.
Check mark.
But yeah, no, I mean, I like simplicity, right? Like, I mean, we've got enough complicated things out there that we're trying to deal with, especially, you know, with pricing in the retail market. I mean, I'm an agronomist. I like my complicated things to be the things that are out of our control and the science and everything. And I like my confusion and complication to be dealing with that stuff. So it's nice when it's not man-made pricing craziness. So I'm a fan of simple, straightforward pricing. Here's what it is, and then let's figure out how to use it properly. So yeah, keep going.
Great. So we've got the price per acre at 220 pounds on our website. We also have the price at 150 pounds, which give you just over 100 pounds of actual S, 102 pounds of actual S, according to the 00070 minimum guaranteed blend of biosol, as we all know. And if you look at this from a cash flow perspective, and if you look at this from an agronomic perspective, this may be a fit. This may be a fit at $20 an acre for 100 pounds of actual S. Are you guys working on moving any of your customers for any reason to three-year program or lower sulfate program than 150 pounds of actual S?
Yeah, I mean, on most of these type of things, I like to kind of be cautious, make sure we understand what we're doing, and then try it out a little bit. So I think we're at the stage now where I think the theory's there, and we kind of understand what we'd be trying to accomplish. And so I guess my stance is I'm game to give it a try, but I kind of want to, I want to get a bit of a history of seeing it in the field, seeing it on some crops in different conditions, and lots and lots of tissue tests to confirm that it's doing what we're hoping it's doing. I think the first place where I feel really confident with this program is repeat guys. I think we got one more year to go, and the first guys that I first spread for will be, coming up on round 2. So I think that's a perfect place for this program if we want to, is to jump in with the 150-pound program kind of on the second app in, say, year 6 of a full program. Like you say, especially now, we're in quite a different economic climate than we were 4 years ago when we first started with this product, where, at that time, $30-40 an acre wasn't as big a deal, whereas I think right now that cash flow will be a bigger deal. So that's the first place I think I would feel really confident doing with it. But I think some other places where we're kind of game to give it a try is kind of in the southwest portion where things get a bit drier, where either no instance of canola in the rotation or very low, like 1 in 4 or 5 years type of thing, and generally yields are quite a bit lower. Those will be the first places that we're kind of playing with it, and like I say, kind of just testing the waters, right? And it was the same approach when I first started with biosol, as well as put it on and then watch it closely, and it earned my trust in the beginning. So same thing with this program. Give it a shot and try it out and let it prove itself, I guess, before we kind of jump into it. But that's my approach anyways.
So are you doing this with any customers now and monitoring that?
No, we don't. Not 150. I have some where we played around with a little bit, like 180 to 200. Where actually we've had a few years on that where we tried it, and generally speaking, we were happy with the results there, I guess. But I don't think I have any out at 150 pounds, I wouldn't say.
Do you think this year it's going to be strategically important to look at this more, given the market conditions that we're in?
Yeah, absolutely. I think like just from an economic standpoint, yeah, absolutely. I think it does make a lot more sense to have an option provided it makes sense agronomically, right? But I think, yeah, for sure. Like I say, when the first product I spread, I think lentils were at 60 or 70 cents. So that was a lot easier for guys to spend, 35, 40 bucks an acre kind of thing. So,
Yeah, isn't that something?
Yeah, so definitely different now.
Well, we're considering that a 3-year product with 3-year financing would really help move the needle, and we're still working on the financing piece. But we do have the FCC and Scotiabank. I don't know what you guys found, but we haven't had a huge amount of uptake on that. And of course, looking at different waiver programs and stuff might be something we look at going into this season. But typically, I haven't found producers want to finance this for vast periods of time. In my experience, guys either have the cash or they don't. Okay.
Yeah, we've had I do the majority of it or anything, but yeah, we've had a decent amount of guys who have said, just they don't want to, if grain's not moving in the fall or whatever, being able to throw it on FCC and not worry about it for a while. It has helped. And there have been a few isolated cases, I would say, where if there was a longer term financing program, that would have been a real key to kind of getting the sale type of thing. So it's not real common, but there are cases where it's purely a cash flow issue that's limiting guys. So I think having the option would be a good one, but you're right, it's not huge, but we've run into it a few times.
Yeah, and I also think part of it too is that some of the input financing we can get through retailers and stuff isn't as good as an interest rate as some farmers can get on their own personal lines of credit now for their business. And I think that has affected the amount of financing that independent dealers are offering, because if I can get a interest rate a couple points lower, I would take that. So that could affect it as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I totally get it. Most guys have a better rate on their operating typically than they would on FCC or Scotiabank. Payment terms in the BioSol Nation for those commissioning dealers: 40% initial down payment, 30% prior to delivery, and then the final 30% payment. And of course, we talked about Farm Credit and Scotiabank. And I guess the fertilizer complex has changed quite a bit, guys, but competitively, I think we're still in a really good place. I know that there was some competitively priced Keg River stuff coming out, but I think we're still in a really good spot in terms of overall price per actual pound offering. Have you guys noticed a big difference in the fertilizer pricing complex since last year?
Not really. I'm not seeing a large change. I think the one that we're going to have to watch that may affect us is what happens up in Edmonton with Agrium's phosphate plant. They've talked for years about switching it to ammonium sulfate. They haven't yet. And the river this spring is going to affect the ammonium sulfate market as well. They're having flooding issues and stuff. So coming up, bringing barges up the river may take a little longer this year. Just something to think about too, that doesn't affect the biosol price, where if there's too much water in the Mississippi River, sulfur prices can fluctuate at any given time.
That's a great point. From someone that's quite close to Nutrien, the consensus was that it's going to be a lot more sulfur on the market here soon. But yeah, events like flooding can change that dynamic pretty quick. When moving stuff around in the water in the U.S. is a really big deal. As always, you can log into our dealer portal. If you don't have that, let us know. We can give you the information. There's a ton of great information on there. If you need to get a hold of anybody for any reason, in terms of backstage support at Eberhard Ag Solutions, as always, you can contact Alison Ham at alison@eberhardagsolutions.ca. Debbie Sherritt is doing a great job of all the invoicing and all that stuff. And everybody should see improved invoicing of loads and stuff via Graham and Debbie, and just amazing how they really got the system all together. Graham, What do you have to share with us, if anything, about logistics? We're going to be moving some products here, I think.
We have been moving a little bit of product, mostly to guys with road bands and some guys that wanted to stockpile. The one major thing I have to say, I guess, is trucks are having trouble getting up to weight. So the new compost is coming in and fluffier. The tubs are filling up taking up to weight with the amount of volume. Guys are getting like half, and that's getting over 40 is getting tough right now. So that's one thing to look out when you're planning loads and whatnot. I'll try to get as much on as we can, but getting up to weight up to 40 right now is a little tough with the stuff that they have blended.
So on the road the other day, I heard that somebody sold 32 metric tons of biosol to one customer, and that's great. I love it. But isn't that a little bit hard for us to deliver?
Well, it's on a secondary road, so it's perfect.
So you don't mind 32 metric ton loads this spring? Like, I mean, isn't that
I talked to Rob before and whatnot, but that customer's on a secondary highway anyway, so you couldn't get 40 ton in there if you want.
Okay, so that worked out good.
Secondary loads are 80% of full weight. So on a Super B, it's 32 and 24 on a Triton. So
in general, though, it's hard for us to deliver anything other than close to 40. Is that not true? I mean, in terms of all of a sudden, it's a whole different price point on the logistics.
Depends where you're at. We split load. We have Tritons. Ryan's notorious for not wanting to ship 40 ton or a 30 ton load. So it depends where it is. If they're closer to done, it's not bad. We can split loads to different customers. I think we had one in the fall where we dropped one trailer and delivered the other one like 100 miles from the other one. So
wow.
We'll do
I just teach you how to simplify your life.
We'll do anything to keep our customers happy. Don't worry about it.
All right. That's good. Well, we can deliver. We can deliver any amount, anywhere, with absolutely no trouble. So it's perfect.
Yeah.
And to be fair, Graham, I never demand you deliver X number of ton to a specific spot. I always ask, hey, if we wanted 24.5 ton in this spot, can you do it? Keep saying yes, so I keep doing it. It helps.
Well, I think the more that you communicate with Graham and tell him what you're looking for and what you want to achieve, the more you can do it. And I mean, I've had nothing but raving reviews about the logistics in terms of Graham's work. So, but yeah, it's a big deal trying to juggle all these loads and do all that. But Graham's doing a great job of that.
And I think communication is the important part with Graham or any logistics that you're doing, right? Helps out immensely when people know what's going on, the full story. So
absolutely. So that's kind of the end of my little update. We're at 1:30 already, but I just wanted to pick your guys' brain about a few things about biosol. Very straightforward. Nolan was asking me, "What are we going to talk about? But it's really just.
I like to prepare.
Oh wow! Well, this is it's all good. Well, you can let Ryan give a response. And then you can respond to Ryan's response. Thank you, Graham. Graham has exited the building.
Yeah, I'm going to leave. I got to go take a phone call. Sorry.
Okay, sounds good. And, of course, with the participants here, the attendees, if you have any questions that you'd like Nolan and Ryan to answer, this would be the time to send them to me. I guess I just wanted to start with Ryan. You and I started in this business. It was pretty early on. Tell us why you got involved with biosol.
Yeah, well, I think the first time we talked would have been fall of 2014. Does that sound right?
Yep.
Yeah, and basically, I mean,
fall of 2015, sorry.
No, I think it was fall 2014.
Maybe you talked to Terry or Matt? Or...
I did talk to Terry first, and then he put you in touch with me. And that fall, the only biosol we spread was on our own farm. But that was the first time we talked, and that was the beginning of getting involved with it, other than it seemed like a good fit for our farm. I had a level of familiarity with it of watching the guys in Alberta. I was familiar with the use there, and had gained a level of comfort with it. And I have a long history with elemental sulfur as well in general, and so I have a fairly good understanding of how it works and everything. So I wasn't all that scared of Biosol when it was the first new thing coming in. And my initial one was I saw a great fit for our farm. So I think we spread a couple loads that fall before winter set in, and and seemed like a good fit. And then kind of looked at it, and from an agronomy standpoint, especially at that time, I was just doing agronomy consulting, and I was just really excited about the idea of it and the opportunity that it was from an agronomic standpoint for my customers, and just wanted it to be available to them. But that was in the early days. There was no one doing it, so I said, well, I guess if I want customers to be able to use this, I guess I'll have to do it. So bought a spreader the next year, and just kind of walked before we ran, and that did a few acres that first spring, and kind of did lots of tissue testing and got a level of comfort with it from an agronomic standpoint. But just did my research and felt comfortable with it. So then the next fall we kind of jumped in pretty good, and it's been really good since then.
How are you guys managing the 5-year cycle now with your producers? You mentioned some guys might be done and they might be taking a year off and starting again. Where you're at in the life cycle with this product with your customer base?
Yeah, good question. That's we've got a range. We've got some guys that looked at it and just said, well, it's a 5-year program. Let's do a 5-year cycle. And it's a little tricky to fit in with the rotation and everything, but some guys have done that. So then that's real straightforward. We just do 20% of the farm every year and kind of just keep going. So that's really straightforward. The bulk of guys have been on a 3-year program, and that's mostly just for rotation purposes, guys that are on a 3-year rotation. And so, this last fall, we completed a good chunk of customers completed their farm at the end of the 3-year cycle. So those guys will have 2 years off now. And that's where I say, I think coming back in potentially with the 150-pound rate on a 3-year program type of thing would make a lot of sense, because then you're just going every 3 years and can jump right in. So
how are you guys managing your customers' fertility with Biosol as a starting point?
Yeah, so we've got a range of guys, a good chunk of guys using Biosol we're doing the agronomy for, and have done the agronomy for several years before Biosol came into the picture. It's been beautiful in that it's given us a lot more flexibility. So most guys have gone to just, the Biosol is our sole sulfur source, and we're spreading it ahead. And then we've got either, a lot of guys just have urea and phos in the drill, and some guys have some potash or other things in there as well. But it's just really simplified it so that then, we're ordering straight urea, and stuff isn't having to go through a blender, and there's a lot of savings for guys on buying their fertilizer, because now it's direct to farm, urea, and quite a few guys too that's opened up some opportunities for spreading urea too. Usually just a portion of it, either in the fall or in the spring, and so guys are loving that, in that their drills are all of a sudden becoming significantly more efficient. So, but I can honestly say, I don't. There's a lot of flashy things about Biosol, and a lot of things guys will focus on depending on what you're looking for. But for me, it's simply just a really good sulfur source, right? And it's just simple to use, and just it's pulling ammonium sulfate out or S15 out and replacing it with Biosol at a much more attractive price point. So. Does that answer your question, or were you looking for something specific?
Absolutely, Neil, that's good. I'm kind of wondering, Nolan, from a sales perspective, retail perspective, front end there, when you're approaching guys with Biosol, is it a big shift to get them using Biosol and changing around their fertility regime, or does it fit easily?
It's a fairly big shift. I think where we come into more of the problems as far as selling a guy on it, the ones that are really good are the ones that you have a really good relationship with and they trust you. If you're going in on a cold call per se, that's where it becomes a lot harder, because you get a lot of pushback from their where they're traditionally buying their fertilizer from, whether that's Richardson or anything like that. That they're saying it's not working and S15 is better and so on and so forth, right? And so there is a little bit of that conversation when you don't have a really good trust relationship with the customer. But what I like about it is that now all of a sudden I'm not competing against S15 or I'm not competing against those products. It's a totally different conversation. We can change the conversation to agronomics, ease of handling. I mean, who doesn't like to get any product cheaper with less work? I mean, to me, that makes a lot of sense. If somebody offered me that, I would probably do it too. It doesn't matter what the product is. So it does take longer though too, because you're now talking about a whole change of philosophy, in regards to their fertility. It's not just, you're not just a Walmart where you can walk in and pick stuff off the shelf. We're specializing on the sulfur side. And so it can be good and bad, but by far I prefer that, because when you're competing against the big companies, they'll lose money if they want to without thinking about it. Whereas when, we're talking about S15, about Biosol, they don't believe in it, they can't sell it. So therefore, once we convert a customer, the odds of losing them back to the line company the next year are next to none. Or even the next cycle for that matter, right? Like we have a way higher retention. Like I think between Ryan and the little bit we've sold, that we're at 100% retention of our customers. And that's a really big positive. I don't think many industries get 100% retention of their customers year over year. I don't have any stats to prove that. That's just a gut feeling I have.
Well, that's amazing. So you're saying everybody that you've sold and spread Biosol for to date has returned, and you haven't really lost anybody.
Yeah, and on the other side of the business, like on the crop input side, I can't say that I have 100% retention at all. And I don't blame growers for shopping around. That's not the point. It's just that a jug of Horizon is a jug of Horizon. There's the only thing that I can do different is the service and how I approach it. Where Biosol, we can do the service different, the pricing's different, it's all different. So it's a completely different conversation, and the competition can't wrap their head around it. So it allows us to maintain that while still being, proper agronomics, very economical to the grower and all that. So it checks all the boxes for us,
Speaking of the service aspect, how do you guys feel that the spreading fits into that? That's a pretty unique piece as well that not all the big line companies are interested in doing.
No, and I would say, a lot of that custom work, there are still a few of the line companies that do it, but just I think there's such a fear from the ivory towers that, either liability or insurance costs or people getting hurt. I think large companies have a hard time of managing that, as far as on even like the safety side, and also just how to logistically do it. So that's where, smaller companies can manage that quite a bit easier, I believe.
How has the agronomy been working for you? What have you seen? You guys do a lot of tissue testing and working with customers on the agronomy side. What are you guys seeing with Biosol?
Yeah, no, this probably sounds like a sales pitch or something, because
It's better. It's better. I could have had anybody on the webinar, but I had you. So
yeah. I almost have a hard time saying this because it sounds like it's.
You're the best salesman. You just deny it.
Yeah.
Typical agronomist. We have no salespeople. Agronomist. I never sell anything to anybody. I'm a nice guy.
Anyways,
I'm a nice guy.
Thanks for that, Dan. But
yeah, no problem. I was filling the blanks there for the audience.
Yeah, no, I mean, from an agronomic standpoint, I can honestly say we've had zero concern. And like I say, I approach it very cautiously. But I mean, yeah, we've done a lot of the product that we've spread, or a good chunk of it is land that either myself or I would say very respectable agronomists that I know have a long history of working on. And so we've got a long trend. We've got a long trend of soil tests and tissue tests, and we understand kind of what was happening before. And then we were able to really watch what happened when we switched to a Biosol program. And we walked before we ran. So I started the first year, I wouldn't spread it in the spring ahead of a canola crop. Just I didn't want to take the chance of shortening the canola crop with sulfur. So what the program was, in the first year, we would spread in the fall ahead of canola, or if we were spreading in the spring, we would only ahead of cereals or pulses. And then we watched what happened. And then we gradually got more and more, trying more and more and watched closely until I remember, a couple of times we had what I would consider kind of the worst case scenario where, high yield environment, high aggressive nitrogen rates, on that particular land, no history of any type of elemental sulfur, and particularly poor fertility history in general. Some of that, like some new land customers took over, and then we spread it days before it was seeded, kind of thing. And so we had some situations like that where I felt like we were maybe pushing the envelope of what I was comfortable with, but we watched it really close, and just no concerns. Tissue tests came back great, and I mean, and that's the only thing that lets me kind of entertain the idea of this 150-pound rate. Again, I'm not ready to jump into it and promote it yet, just because I haven't seen it proven. But I think we were being very cautious at the 220-pound rate to make sure that we had enough available, and I'd say it's proved itself. It's a perfectly viable sulfur source, and even in kind of what I would consider the worst case scenario, seemed to be very viable as providing enough sulfur to even a high yielding aggressive canola crop. So yeah.
How do you guys sell that to your customers, agronomy? Are you selling them protein? Are you selling them yield for crops that normally hadn't had sulfur, or just that this is just a good pound of sulfur?
Yeah, so that all depends where he's coming from, right? Like, so for the guys that we have a long history of working with from an agronomic standpoint, we had a good sulfur program already. And, we were putting down what we needed for every crop, and in different forms, what we were putting it down already. So this wasn't so much an improvement in an agronomic program, because we were doing a good job of sulfur before. This is just a different way to do what we were already doing. And so it was more of in those cases, it's financial, right? That this was a lower cost way of doing what they were already doing, and logistical, and that it was easier. It's a different conversation when you come to a guy whose sulfur program is, 100 pounds of S15 with his canola, and that's his sulfur program. It's a very different conversation, because the biocell program is going to cost him significantly more. So then you're approaching that one from the standpoint of you need more sulfur in your canola, in your program in general. There are different ways you could do it. Here's one way that is an attractive option for you. You gotta be a little careful with that, because you don't want to walk in and just say, you're doing a terrible job of what you're doing, let me tell you how to do it better. But that's essentially what you're doing, is a little more careful in your wording on that. But so it depends where a guy's coming from, of what the sales pitch is. And those guys, I would tell them, I don't care how you do it, put more ammonium sulfate down, you need more sulfur in general. This is one option of how to do it, but you need to get some down with your cereals, and probably more with your canola if that's the program.
What are the most common objections that you guys receive, and how do you magically overcome them every time at the kitchen table? Every time. One for one.
Never fail, Dan. Never fail. Yeah, some of the objections that I've had, I mean, I would say Ryan's customers, his agronomy full consultant customers, have a bit of a different relationship. They're essentially paying him for his opinion, right, of on different things. When it's just a sales customer, what I run into is some of the competition straight up say that the product doesn't work. It's not a fertilizer, it's just manure or compost, right? Like they slag it to the point where they're trying just to say that we're lying. But that's pretty easy rectified. I mean, we have close, 100% retention. Ryan uses the word thousands of tissue samples. We don't know how many we have exactly. All we know that we have lots of tissue samples that show no sulfur deficiency. We haven't lost yield. And, so when you start having those conversations, it starts to change. And, also the acceptance of biosol, I would say, is growing in general in the industry. It's not that weird thing anymore. People know about it. They've heard about it. People are probably asking for it in some areas, right? So that's helped a lot, just in general. The other one that that I like is guys that use Tiger 90 or something. If they're already on a elemental program, it's an easier switch because you're not all of a sudden selling the whole elemental process and program. You're just converting it from a 3-year to a 5-year at that point, right? Which does make it slightly easier on the sales side. But we also still get rejection. And I don't know the statistic. I guess if I would have been more prepared, Dan, I could have dug these up. But you have to hear no a lot in order to get a yes sometimes, right? Just because you hear no the first time. And that one, I mean, even for me particularly, it's hard to overcome when you get a hard no. But the important part is going back, following up, finding out what the true underlying objection is, and then trying to work on that. Sometimes you can't, their objection is their objection and you can't solve it. But once you understand it, then we can prepare better for the next time when that objection comes up.
Do you find that there's people that get Biosol, might get Biosol on a long enough timeline and will never get Biosol? Like, are you qualifying people as you go where you spend your time on this product?
Yeah, I for sure there's people that are just, going to say no, Biosol doesn't, we disagree. And I think where that is coming from is their main source of information, whether that be the internet or their agronomist or their ag retail's agronomist who just doesn't believe in it. Right. When those come up, but over time, our goal is that over time, we're not in this business for the next 2 years. This is a long-term approach, and over time they'll see that, hey, I don't have to deal with ammonium sulfate. It's not standing up in my bin. I don't have to overpay to get half of my elemental sulfur and S15 and the other half ammonium sulfate. And, the product works and it's been proven, and especially once we get done our first cycle here and then, guys start going back into the second 5 years, I think that's really going to, open up a few more avenues because we have, 5 years of proof that this product works every year.
Well, and you guys have covered a lot of acres. I would ask you how many acres, but you didn't really have that opportunity to prepare, Nolan, so that wouldn't really be fair to ask you for the hard number.
Exactly.
On the spot.
Exactly.
And if you added it all up, you're well into the 6 figures of acres, I guess, that have been sold by somebody and applied by somebody. I mean, I know you don't want to admit it, but you did some selling here, guys. At some point, you had to do some selling. But I mean, my experience traveling around with Ryan in the initial launch of Biosol in Ryan's business was we were 6 for 6 on that tour. But to be fair, they were people that Ryan had worked so closely with on agronomy that the trust level was a whole different thing rather than going in with a somewhat new relationship where they might not be convinced of everything you're doing and who you are. The trust factor was so high with the initial people that we went and seen Ryan. I think when we traveled around initially, we were basically batting 100%.
Yeah, that's right. That was a good day.
The good old days. Yeah. That was the best day in Biosol I ever had.
Yeah.
It's all been downhill from there. No, just kidding.
But Nolan touched on something that I think was a part of that. Like one thing we talk about a bit around here is that, we think a lot more about year 10 in this business than we do about next year. And so everything we do is thinking about the long term. And really what that comes back to is we're way more concerned about building a good relationship with the customer and building trust than we are about making a sale of whatever it might be for this year or for next year. And so that's why, like all these things you've heard me talk about, when we play around with something, we prove it first and make sure we're sure, because building that trust with a customer is absolutely everything. And that's where, like say, that good day of just basically going to customers and saying, here's what it was. They would ask me, well, does this work? And I'd say, yeah, it works. They'd say, okay, sounds good. And that's, that was great. And so then, but it's a very different conversation then when you start going outside of that core group of guys and you start on the fringes of guys you don't have a relationship with. And that's why we're so careful about only bringing products that we trust and we know is going to have a good result for them and be a benefit for them, because I mean, that level of trust and that customer relationship is really everything in this business, I think. And so So yeah, I mean, like you say, those objections are tough, but when you have that relationship with the guy, the retail down the road might have told him BioSolid's garbage and doesn't work. But a good example was, I remember one year, early in the business, the first year, we spread a bunch for a customer, and then a person had a relationship with that customer, kind of got interested and said, well, what's this stuff you're doing? So the customer gave him the pitch, kind of, well, this is why we're using it. So then that guy went and asked his agronomist, who had no affiliation, or hadn't looked into BioSolid at all, and basically just trashed it. And stuff that was crazy. Told him, oh, there's lawsuits in Alberta, and they won't sell it in Alberta anymore because there's lawsuits about how it doesn't work, and on and on and on. And so I said, well, we're going to see, aren't we? Because we've applied it to your canola. You've got an aggressive plan here, like, high nitrogen rates, high intensity grower. And I said, I guess we're going to see, aren't we? If what he said is true, not only is I'm not going to sell any BioSolid in 2 years, but my agronomy business will probably be toast in 2 years too. Because I recognize that when I was selling this stuff and taking it to guys saying, yes, we should use that, I'm putting my name and my reputation behind it, and I take that really seriously. And here we are 2-3 years later, and that same customer whose agronomist told him this stuff is garbage is no longer working with that agronomist, and he's inquiring about getting some BioSolid on his farm. So, I mean,
isn't that something?
Yeah.
I mean, the risk is for people that choose to simply take an uneducated position and slag it. I think it's pretty risky in terms of agronomy, and you're the one that stated this basic principle. I mean, if you take a stand for against something as an agronomist, that's kind of your credibility and your capital in the world. So you want to make sure that you're making an educated recommendation to your producer to use or to not use anything.
Yeah, I mean, I have no problem with an agronomist saying, we don't know, we don't understand it, let's proceed with caution. That's entirely prudent, and I have no problem with that approach, right? But yeah, taking a stance, a hard no against something, and putting your name on that no is the same as putting your name behind something and saying, yes, this works. You're putting your name behind that statement, and if it proves to be wrong, then there's repercussions to that too. So.
And it has worked just as good or better than we ever thought or claimed. It's been good. So that's probably a great note to leave things on, but I give you guys an opportunity just to tell us a little bit about maybe what's next for you guys at Core Ag, or what's new and exciting this year. Ryan, what are you excited about for this upcoming season?
Yeah, I'm excited about just, I think my biggest excitement looking at this next season is the staff we have around. I was a lone wolf for 5 years, did everything on my own, had a little bit of seasonal help for spreading there, but basically I did everything on my own, and sitting here surrounded by a group of people, and I just feel really great about when I tell my wife we're going to go camping on a certain weekend in July. I think we're actually going to get to do it this year, because it needs to get done. There's other people who can take care of it. So I really look forward to that, of just having good people around, and we just feel really good about the people we've got around here who they get it, like this trust thing and building relationships. They get it. So that's what excites me most about this coming year.
That's awesome. Well, and when you're building a good team, you should be excited. What about you, Nolan?
Well, for one, I'm just looking forward for this winter to be over. I had enough of it, and looking forward to the warm weather. I think the last month been really excited about. We've been working on getting our storm going, getting out, doing some treating, and I think that's something that we're gonna try to focus on as we grow. Is finding those niches where just providing really good service to guys that doesn't add a lot of cost to their bottom line at the end of the year, but it just makes their farm more efficient. It allows me more time to build that relationship. Also, when guys are efficient, it just allows them more time with their family and, to do what they want. To be able to say that on that July weekend, they're going to go camping because we were able to help them out, maybe do something a little more efficient. That's really exciting to me. And this is kind of, along with the BioSol, this is the next step in that, is finding a niche market that we can do really, really well, and provide that to the growers. That's what I'm looking forward to. And then just another great year of, with lots of rain, big yields, lots of fungicide. I think that's what I'm looking forward to this year.
Good stuff. Well, I wish you guys a good season. I'm sure you'll see you around on the circuit a lot. Thank you for everything that you've done to help build our mutual businesses. You guys have been obviously one of our top retailers and trusted applicators. It's been fun building the business with great people. That's what gets me excited. And thanks for contributing this morning, taking time out of your day to share some of your wisdom and success and experience with. We had 12 other attendees on other than the panelists here at one point. So that's really good. And we share the recordings with everybody. So that means a lot that you guys would share with other dealers what's working and what your challenges are. So thanks so much, guys. And have a great season. I'll be talking to you. But thanks everybody that attended the webinar. Make sure, guys, this is really important. Share that Spore Busters thing. We want to get the word out. Tell your customers about it. Share the text or the link or the social media or whatever. Let's get a bunch of people on there to ask questions to Dan Orchard and make sure that we're presenting that we are educated and we are aware and we're taking action on Club Root in terms of the BioCell Nation. So thanks, guys. Appreciate it. I'll get you some barbecue sauce.
You.
We've got to get you some more barbecue sauce, so we'll get right on that.
Okay, awesome. Yeah.
All right. Thanks, guys, for everything. I appreciate it. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Bye for now.